So what we want to do right here is we want to solve this quadratic equation, negative 3x squared plus 2x plus 12 equals 0, using the quadratic formula. The first step in using the quadratic formula is what? So the first step, you can either write the formula first, or you can identify A, B, and C. So A equals negative 3, B equals 2, and C equals 12. So there's A, B, and C. Okay? Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write the formula. X equals negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC. And the formula, the song says all over. But what I see some of you doing is only putting the divide sign under the radical. If you only put the divide sign under the radical like this, you'll get the wrong answer. Okay, the divide sign, it's all over what? 2A, like that. So everything is on top, right? And so now all we have to do is plug our A, B, and C, our A from here, our B from here, and our C for here, in for A, B, and C into the equation, right? And so let's do that. So I've got X equals negative, and then whatever B is. What's B? 2 plus or minus the square root of B squared, so 2 squared. Notice that I'm putting, every time you put a number in for a letter, you should put that number in what? Okay, so did I do that? Minus 4 times A times C all over. Now notice my divide sign doesn't just go right here, does it? The whole thing is over 2 times A, which is negative 3. I've been looking at your work, and a lot of you are messing up that divide sign. You're only wanting to divide the radical. That's wrong. Okay? So now the basics is just to simplify. I'm allowing you to put it in decimal form, and decimal form is much easier. And so you have X equals, and all we have to do is simplify what we've got. Negative 2 plus or minus the square root of, and then we look under that radical and we figure out each part of it, right? 2 squared is 4. Okay, and then here's the most common mistake. You ready, Aaron? I've got negative 4 times negative 3 times positive 12. So that's negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12 times 12 is 144. Is the 144 positive or negative? Positive. So I put plus 144. I do not put minus 144. That's the most common mistake. And notice I put that divide sign, Avery, over the whole thing, right? And then it's negative 6 on bottom, right? Let's keep working. Now I need to simplify further. So I'm going to add up 4 plus 144, right? And so I have X equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 148 all over negative 6. So see, at this point, I've got the square root of 148, don't I? Since I'm allowing you to put your answer in decimal form, go ahead and tell me what the square root of 148 is, and let's put it right here, Ivy. Okay? So I'm going to write X equals negative 2 plus or minus, and what is the square root of 148? 12.165. You said 12.165, so let's say 12.17. All over. Notice I'm putting it all over. You see the divide sign? The divide sign isn't just under the 12.7, is it? Is it, Hayden? It goes on the whole problem. All over negative 6. So now the question is, what do I do to finish this problem up? Split it into 2 problems. Say it. And so I've got X equals, okay, and here's what you're doing. You're going to do negative 2 plus 12.17 divided by negative 6. And then you're going to do negative 2 minus 12.17 divided by negative 6. So I've got negative 2 plus 12.17, all divided by negative 6, right? And then my other equation is x equals negative 2 minus 12.17, all divided by negative 6, right? And so now all I have to do is figure out what each of these are. So I'm going to type in my calculator, negative 2. Everybody type in your calculator, negative 2 plus 12.17. And when you get your answer, then divide it all by negative 6. All of it. Okay, so what is, y'all just type in your calculator, negative 2 plus 12.17 and tell me what that gives you. And so you've got 10.17 all over negative 6. So now type in 10.17 divided by negative 6 and tell me what you get. Negative 1.695. So let's call it negative 1.7. Okay? I rounded it to negative 1.7. Okay, now let's look at the other one. I've got x equals, and I can see clearly that negative 2 minus 12.17 is negative 14.17. And then I'm going to divide that by negative 6, right? And so I've got x equals, it's going to be a positive because a negative divided by negative is a positive. And what do you get? And so you should get 2.45. So y'all look and make sure that those are the two answers you got. And if you go in Wolfram Alpha, those are the two answers it'll give you. I'm sorry, my man Hayden here didn't type it in the calculator right. So this right here is wrong. Say wrong, Hayden.
It's not right.
Good, it's not right. It's really x equals, I was relying on him to use the calculator.
I use it.
2.36. Okay, so we'll say it's 2.36. So those are your two answers, right? So let's review and see what we did. What did we do? From the start, we identified A, B, and C. We plugged them in the formula, which we wrote the formula right here. Every time I tell you, Gardner, to do the quadratic formula, I expect to see where you wrote A, B, and C. If you take a shortcut and you don't write A, B, and C, I'm going to count it wrong. And then I want you to write the formula every time I tell you to do the quadratic formula. If you don't write the formula, I'm going to count it wrong. And then you plug in and simplify. So you can see from there down, all we were doing was simplifying all the way down. Okay? And then always circle your answers.